Yo, sometimes life calls for a change. Not fake, just different. It'll show you a different way. And right now, I'm on to my different way. I can promise you this is the same Spann, but the reporting is over. I'd like to welcome you to the Mr. Spann official podcast. Let's go. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Mr. Spann official podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Spann. This is episode number 38 of the show. And yo, man, I am not alone this evening. I have my sister here, my podcast buddy and network friend and all the whole shebang, man. I got my friend Cook Simmons here of the Highly Inappropriate Podcast. Say what's up to the people, fam.
Hey y'all, I'm just glad that y'all got me here 5 minutes ago saying in a way being verbally abusive, right?
Ain't that a bitch?
And
Ain't that a bitch?
he told me he was sick of me, y'all.
I didn't say that. She said that. I didn't say that. She said that. But that's just what
sick of me.
Yeah, I didn't say that, fam. I didn't say that. I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that. But yo, man. Before we get into the show, we got to remind you guys how to get in touch with us over here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and let your voice be heard. Go ahead and hit up that hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave us those voicemail messages. Those messages will get played here live on the show and responded to in kind. And if you're watching us here live on Twitter, Facebook, and or YouTube, you can chop it up with us live while we doing the fucking show, man. You could be a part of this whole thing. So go ahead and hit us up at area code 313-288-0485. You can also hit us up at our email at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead, leave us those emails, and of course those emails will get read here and reply to here live as well. Follow me on Threads and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So go ahead, follow me there. Chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. Also, leave us a 5-star review. Those 5-star reviews on iTunes and or Spotify. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get read here live on the show. We really appreciate everybody who goes about the business of doing that. It doesn't cost you a dime, just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network in its entirety. And also, man, if you're chopping it up with us on YouTube, because I'm noticing a little uptick in the YouTube viewership. So if you're watching this and you're catching the show via YouTube, go ahead, leave us those comments. Those comments get read here live on the show. The good ones, man, the good ones. Because we're gonna talk a little bit about some of that stuff that happened a couple weeks ago. I got a comment from Reggie, and yeah, some shit happened with the Trump supporters. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. Also, hit us up at our website at www.thespannreport.com. Go there, watch replays of the show. You can vote in the polls, not only there, but also on Spotify, because we do have those polls on Spotify, and you can leave us comments on Spotify. But, you can also go to our store, cop yourself some merch, get yourself a little fly tee. You know what I'm saying? I'm rocking the merch right now. Yeah, make it yourself a hoodie or a coffee mug. One of our listeners over on Threads, man, he showed us he had a coffee mug this week. I'm like, yo, man, appreciate you, being a part of the movement, because everybody got a movement, right? Everybody got a movement. So yeah, man, no,
That's right.
It's one way to support the show. We appreciate everybody who does that. So real talk, thank you for everybody who does it. But yo, what's going on with you, sis? How you been?
I can't complain. Maintaining. Finally got some personal affairs finalized. As my friend calls it, been doing the business of death. So, after losing loved ones, there's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
So this finally got the bottom all that a year later. And yeah, that felt good. And I can't complain,
Yeah.
Just working my way back. So far, I'm just glad that all things are on track.
Okay.
One of them being my mental health. Um, yeah, can't complain.
That's what's up. I think we all
Mm-hmm.
want to just be in a place where like, yo, man, not only is shit good, but like even if it ain't all the way good, I can't complain
Right.
about, I think we all kind of strive for a little bit of that balance there, right? So
Yes, we did.
yeah, I think the last time I talked, it was at like when my daughter was turning 21, and
Yeah.
and
You have to fill me in on the party.
I mean, I didn't see much. I didn't see much of the party. I wasn't trying to be there for the party. I was, like I just wanted to show like I could show up at the club and then like, okay, baby, this is your thing. Go ahead and do your thing because you don't want me standing off to the side, like like Ronnie. What's my man name on Power? What was his name? The weird nigga.
Ron.
Yeah, I ain't want to be that nigga, man. I ain't want to be him. So I got the hell up out of there, man. I got the hell up out of there. I had endured enough of the things that that annoyed me about the club to where I was like, all right, baby, you got it. Let me get the fuck up out of here. Go have fun. You know what I mean? I wasn't about to be that. I wasn't about to be the old nigga in the club. It felt strange the whole time I was there. Real talk. It felt weird being in there.
That's one thing about I like going to the club. Being with other old niggas.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I don't feel like it's wrong being just when you to the club.
Your sound going out, Cook.
Mm-hmm. Um, can you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Oh, okay.
I thought I heard you say something about there's nothing wrong with being an old nigga in the club.
It's nothing wrong.
It felt wrong to me.
But you got to be in the club with other niggas.
You got to be a who?
You got to be in the club with other old.
See, nah, I wasn't in the club with other old niggas. I was at the club waiting on my daughter to show up, and that just felt weird in and of itself.
Oh yeah, you
That just felt weird in and of itself. You know what I mean?
hearing beats you never heard, singing and dancing.
I was more so like So here's the other thing. I think I might have mentioned this on a previous episode, but like weed is legal here in Michigan, and
Yeah.
I'm used to seeing people smoking like just out and about now, right?
Mm-hmm.
It never occurred to me that they would be just blowing in the club. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, but that never occurred to me. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it never occurred to me that they would just be blowing trees in the club.
We smoking in the club.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, let me get out of here because I ain't want that smell in my clothes, man. I ain't want that. I ain't want that in my coat. I was like,
The only problem I had with the organization that swear to God, this is a train, and I'm like, bro, it's 6 a.m. on our way to. What are you doing? This is some bigger shit at 7 a.m.
mm-hmm.
And I have to admit, I appreciate legalization. I go like yesterday to the game because they have a concert series. So when I'm getting check my bag, and she's looking at the cigarette case, and she's like, and I was like, no, ma'am, you may not. She said, well, I have to order for you to come with open it. Are you going to come with it? And she was like, so then I opened it, and she was like, oh, okay, you're fine. Made it through.
Okay.
And somebody was smoking in the morning. That part, y'all niggas. That's also in the area. What I really appreciate. We scared a fuck out of white folks. They be thinking they going by a whole bunch of niggas show up, and they don't know what's going on.
Right.
I love that.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself too. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
I did. I took some time to kind of just really focus on her and me and how it's listening, and then pray at 2023. So I took a break. And this was like my first like real outing in a long time.
Okay.
First time going to see my since like 2021.
Going to see who? I'm sorry, they kind of cut out again.
Oh, sorry. It was last
last
night
night
game.
game.
It was
It was
fun.
fun.
Okay,
Some real decent.
that's what's up. That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
So check it. We got a full docket here today. Like I told you,
Yeah.
we gonna talk about some shit, and we're gonna kind of run again. Most of it, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man, is politics heavy. So, and I've been really, I'm trying to get out of the politics. Not, let me stop lying. I'm not trying to get out of the politics
About
because,
to say.
because I think that shit is important, and I think not enough motherfuckers are really paying attention to all of the things that are going on. I think we had this conversation before. I was like, I think it's a lot of motherfuckers whistling past the graveyard, thinking shit can't get worse when it really fucking can. So I really do think that we should pay more attention to the politics. Although there's a bunch of foolishness going on, and there's a time and a place for it. But I do think that we need to be kind of paying attention to some of this other shit that's going on that does have an effect on what's really that's going on that could affect you in a very real way, right? But also, I be wanting to balance the shit out to some degree. So we gonna talk about some shit that ain't got nothing to do with nothing, but also on some grown up shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I be wanting us to have the conversations that be like, remember when you was a kid and the grown ups be like, get out of here, grown folks is talking. I want to have those conversations where we actually talking about something, not you get grown and you find out these niggas ain't talking about a goddamn thing. You could have had these conversations in high school. I want that's kind of what like where I want to be at. That's kind of where I want to be at, right? So first story that we got talk about tonight. CVS and Walgreens are about to start selling abortion pills over the counter, man.
They're about to.
Later this month. And
Wait, they're going to stop.
no, they're going to start. They're going to start. So I got this story here. This comes from 19th. Was it 19th? TheNews.org. Never heard of this one. But let's make sure this is a legitimate motherfucker before I even go forward. Hold on a second.
Because I was about to say,
okay, 19thnews.org. Okay, we are an independent nonprofit newsroom reporting on gender, politics, and policy. Okay, this is new. I've never heard of these folks. But we're gonna read this story to see we could parse out whether or not it's true or not, right? So CVS and Walgreens will start dispensing mifepristone, one of the medications used to induce an abortion in stores this month. The news was first reported by the New York Times. It comes more than a year after both retail pharmacy chains, the nation's two largest, said that they would pursue certification from the Food and Drug Administration to dispense the pill. Mifepristone can be used in conjunction with another medication, misoprostol, to induce an abortion at home. A vast body of research shows that it is safe and highly effective, particularly in the first trimester of pregnancy. Patients seeking mifepristone need a prescription from a medical provider. Misoprostol is already available in pharmacies for patients with a prescription. The chains will start dispensing mifepristone in a few states: CVS in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, and Walgreens in California, Illinois, Massachusetts, New York, and Pennsylvania. Eventually, both pharmacies will make it available in all states where abortion is legal and where they are permitted to do so. Neither chain will dispense the pill through the mail. CVS pharmacies will be filling prescriptions in the weeks ahead, said Amy Thibault, company spokesperson. Walgreens anticipates beginning the dispense of mifepristone in the next week, per spokesperson Fraser Ingerman. So, what do you think about this, Cook? How do you feel about the increased access to abortion pills like mifepristone and
good.
The other one, misoprostol?
That's what I'm saying. I've been bought a plan out. Yes. So, but they're talking about the chemical abortion procedure. Yeah, I'm over of it. Very it's simpler, invasive, and to my understanding, require R where they the uterine lining. So they're doing and uh,
ended up
ended up
pregnant
pregnant
with it
after
after.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. We got a comment here. They said it's a pretty heavy echo on your side, Cook. You got like a headset or anything?
I
I
do.
do.
Hold on.
Okay. So while Cook goes to get her headset, um, yeah, I think it's also a pretty good idea too, especially considering some of the more restrictive laws that we've had coming down from, like, so this not only just the Supreme Court, but also from some of these state legislatures, some of these state Supreme Courts, who are also trying to curb some of the access that women have to drugs like a mifepristone and misoprostol, where they may be needing these drugs for their own lives. You know what I'm saying? Not even so much whether or not they just are. There's the idea that women are just going out getting abortions all willy nilly. There are a lot of women who are having abortions because if they do not have this abortion, then they may find themselves in either further dire medical straits, despite what may ever happen to that child. Right. So the idea that these women can now have access to this sort of medication to kind of mitigate whatever they could be dealing with, societally, I think is good. Now, the interesting thing is going to be like, again, how these drugs are going to be distributed in some of those states, like Texas, like Alabama, like Ohio. No, I believe it was either Ohio or Indiana, who were actually trying to seek out women who were going to different places to go and have an abortion procedure done. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not they're going to even be able to distribute that sort of medication in those places. But yeah, man, I think it's a good thing until they can have another remedy, since Roe versus Wade has been overturned. It'll be a good thing for them to be able to kind of like use this as a bridge, or as a stop, and until there's some other legislation that comes across that gets passed, that gets signed into law, where these women don't have to go through so many hoops in order to get the care that they deserve, right? So
Do I sound better?
oh yeah, you do.
Okay, great.
Good job.
Thank you, GS28.
My man, check it out, man. Yes, only he be here every week, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
I'm wondering corporately
How
how
that's going to
that's going to
play
play
out,
out,
because
because
clearly
clearly
CVS
CVS
sees, or
sees, or
Walgreens, they
Walgreens, they
see the
see the
profit in
profit in
this,
this,
right?
right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I
So I
really want
really
to
want to
see how
see how
that
that
plays
plays
out
out
on the
on the
political
political
and
and
financial,
financial,
you
you
know,
know,
the
the
laissez-faire of it
laissez-faire of it
all.
all.
Yeah, they stand to make a shit ton of money off of it, but also, like I was saying while you were away, just on the bridging of the gap in between the time where, especially in a lot of those states like Texas, like Alabama, like Ohio, like Indiana, all of these places that are like trying, after Roe versus Wade was overturned, that are further restricting abortion access, like whether or not they would even be able to sell those drugs in those particular states. And I'm just kind of wondering, like, especially since they're not going to be able to do it in the mail, whether or not these women are going to have to, again, go across state lines and go to, procure this medication across state lines, even though it's a prescription, it's a prescribed drug for them.
Right.
Right.
In
In
addition
addition
to
to
maybe if
maybe if
someone
someone
in that
in that
other
other
states
states
takes the
takes the
medical
medical
information and
information and
reports it
reports it
back
back
somewhere to
somewhere to
some
some
bureau in
bureau
that
in that
state to
state to
say,
say,
oh, this
oh, this
person
person
gave me
gave me
that
that
prescription.
prescription.
Because
Because,
they're
they're
doing like
doing
that
like
kind
that
of
kind of
nasty
nasty
stuff.
stuff.
Oh yeah,
But
But
stock them,
stock them,
sell it
sell it
anyway.
anyway.
yeah, they got to, and
Mm-hmm.
like, they stand to make money, but not only do they stand to make money, it's just like low key, it's just the right fucking thing to do.
Period.
Period.
So like two things being true at the same time. They gonna make bread, but it's also the right thing to do. So you got that going on. Now, another story that we have. Damn, did I close the wrong thing? Oh yeah, I did. So another story that we got going on, and man, Pocket is doing some different shit lately. Um, so
It's Pocket.
Charlemagne, Pocket is what I use to save articles that I want to talk about on the show, and
Mm-hmm.
it's been acting differently lately. It's been behaving differently, but the next story I want to talk about was like, so Risa Tisa. Are you familiar with who Risa Tisa is?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Tell me more, because I'm not.
So
So
Risa
Risa
Tisa, I
Tisa, I
remember
remember
seeing
seeing
the
the
first
first
story,
story,
and she
and
was
she was
just
just
like,
like,
"Who the
"Who the
fuck did
fuck
I
did I
marry?"
marry?"
And
Yeah.
she
And she
told a
told a
story of
story of
meeting a
meeting a
guy
guy
and
and
how
how
this all
this all
started,
started,
and
and
everything
everything
about it
about it
sounded
sounded
very
very
charming.
charming.
And
And
they
they
it was
it was
right
right
before the
before the
pandemic,
pandemic,
so
so
because they
because
were
they were
getting
getting
along so
along so
well,
well,
like on
like
their
on their
first
first
date, on
date,
the
on the
way to
way
their
to their
first
first
date, she
date,
had
she
a
had a
flat
flat
tire.
tire.
So he
So he
came to
came
where
to
she
where she
was,
was,
fixed the tire, fixed the
fixed the
car,
car,
and
and
then
then
like,
like,
come on,
come
let's
on, let's
finish our
finish our
date.
date.
Yeah.
So,
So,
a lot
a
of
lot of
positive
positive
green
green
flags in the
flags in the
beginning,
beginning,
excuse me.
excuse me.
And
And
so
so
over
over
time,
time,
like
like
once they
once they
moved in
moved in
together,
together,
they
they
married,
married,
she got
she got
pregnant, had
pregnant,
a
had a
miscarriage.
miscarriage.
Mm.
Um,
He was
he was
paying all
paying
the
all the
bills.
bills.
He
He
said he
said he
was a
was a
VP
VP
of a
of a
specific
specific
company.
company.
And
And
just
just
slowly but
slowly but
surely,
surely,
one day
one
she
day she
finds
finds
this
this
little
little
thread,
thread,
pulls
pulls
on it,
on it,
and her
and her
entire
entire
world
world
unfolds.
unfolds.
Mhm.
And it just
It just
unravels.
unravels.
And
And
the
the
amount
amount
of
of
lies
lies
and the
and the
kind of
kind of
lies
lies
that he
that he
told
told
her
her
are
are
borderline
borderline
outrageous.
outrageous.
Mhm.
Like,
Like,
what?
what?
But
But
ultimately,
ultimately,
she
she
gets to the
gets to the
bottom of
bottom of
things.
things.
She
She
starts
starts
doing her
doing her
research.
research.
She
She
lawyers
lawyers
up.
up.
She
She
starts
starts
protecting
protecting
herself,
herself,
and
and
she
she
gets the
gets
hell
the
out
hell
of
out of
there.
there.
And so
And
for
so for
me,
me,
I
I
didn't sit
didn't
down
sit
and
down and
watch
watch
all
all
50
50
parts.
parts.
I've
I've
seen a
seen a
summary.
summary.
But I
But
know
I know
people who
people who've
sat
sat
down
down
and
and
watched
watched
it,
it,
and they
and
were
they
like,
were
it
like,
was
it was
fucking
fucking
riveting.
riveting.
But
But
she's
she's
also a
also a
really
really
great
great
storyteller,
storyteller,
well
well
spoken,
spoken,
and it's
and it's
really
really
something
something
about
about
her
her
that
that
is
is
just,
just,
she just
she
seems
just
like
seems like
a
a
good
good
person.
person.
Like
Like,
I
I
don't
Yeah.
don't
get
get
bad
bad
vibes or
vibes or
bad
bad
energy from
energy from
her.
her.
Yeah.
And
And
so
so
to
to
me,
me,
what she
what she
represents
represents
is
is
just a
just a
story.
story.
There's a
There's a
beginning,
beginning,
a
a
middle,
middle,
and an
and an
end.
end.
And
And
I
I
think her
think her
story is
story
a
is a
triumph
triumph
because she
because she
got out
got
of
out of
there.
there.
Yeah.
She
She
didn't have
didn't
no
have no
kids with
kids
this
with this
man,
man,
where
where
she's
she's
forced to
forced
be
to
in
be
some
in some
type of
type of
custody, a
custody, a
battle,
battle,
or
or
arrangement with
arrangement with
him.
him.
Mhm.
She's
She's
still got
still
a
got a
job and
job
her
and her
career and her
career and her
property.
property.
Her
Her
credit was
credit was
intact.
intact.
Like,
Like,
sis,
sis,
you got out, you
you
made it
made it
out.
out.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
it's a
It's a
beginning, a
beginning, a
middle, and
middle,
an
and an
end.
end.
And then
And
she
then she
tells a
tells a
story,
story,
and there's
and
a
there's a
conclusion.
conclusion.
She's
She's
made it
made it
through.
through.
She's
She's
living her
living her
life.
life.
So in the
So in the
story.
story.
Yeah.
But
But
what
what
I
I
think
think
happened,
happened,
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
desperate
desperate
women,
women,
sad
sad
desperate
desperate
women,
women,
started to
started to
listen to
listen
her
to her
story.
story.
And when
And
she
when she
said
said
he
he
paid all the
paid all the
bills,
bills,
they
they
stopped
stopped
listening.
listening.
They just
They just
stopped
stopped
listening. Like,
listening. Like,
oh,
Mhm.
he
oh, he
paid all the
paid all the
bills.
bills.
Because
Because
they
they
wanted to
wanted to
all of a
all of a
sudden
sudden
have
have
this
this
counter
counter
dialogue
dialogue
that,
that,
oh,
oh,
she
she
wasn't
wasn't
resting
resting
in
in
her
her
feminine
feminine
energy,
energy,
and she
and she
fumbled
fumbled
that
that
man.
man.
And I'm
And I'm
like,
like,
y'all
y'all
bitch is
bitches
dumb.
dumb.
Because
Because
not
not
only
only
did that
did that
nigga
nigga
work at
work
the
at the
company
company
that he
that he
claimed
claimed
to,
to,
he was
he
not
was
a
not a
VP.
VP.
He was
He
a
was a
whole
whole
tow
tow
truck
truck
driver,
driver,
tow lift
tow lift
driver,
driver, well,
in the
in the
warehouse.
warehouse.
Okay.
So
So
my
my
thing is
thing is
just
just
like,
like,
look,
look,
he
he
totally
totally
misrepresented
misrepresented
himself.
himself.
And
And
also the
also
other
the
thing
other
that
thing that
this kind
this
of
kind of
really
really
drove
drove
home for
home for
me,
me,
it
it
doesn't
doesn't
matter
matter
how
how
despicable
despicable
a
a
nigga
nigga
is
is
or
or
how
how
dirty
dirty
he
he
do
do
abroad.
abroad.
It's gonna
It's
be
gonna be
some
some
broad out
broad out
there
there
that's really
that's
gonna
really
think,
gonna think,
I know
I know
something
something
she
she
didn't
didn't
know.
know.
I
I
got
got
this.
this.
I could do
I
it
could do it
better.
better.
And
Mm.
you just
And
be
you just
looking
be looking
like,
like,
sis,
sis,
this nigga
this
took
nigga
her
took her
to
to
a
a
random
random
grave site
gravesite
and said
and
that
said
these
that
were
these
his
were his
parents.
parents.
when
when
those
those
motherfuckers
motherfuckers
are
are
alive.
alive.
Like,
Like
he
he
took her
took her
to a
to a
church
church
What?
and
and
said
said
What?
this
this
was
was
his
his
home
home
church.
church.
Girl, that
Girl,
nigga
that
ain't
nigga
never
ain't never
been there
been there
church a day
church
in
a
his
day in his
life.
life.
Wow. See, I didn't see, I didn't watch any of the saga that was unfolding on TikTok. I believe it was on TikTok. I
Yeah.
saw people talking about it on TikTok,
Mhm.
and I, you know, I everything I ain't got to be on. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to. I ain't got to hop on everything everybody owns. So I'm like, all right, that sound like y'all having a good time over there. That's what's up. You know
No,
what I'm saying?
I purposely am not watching it all the way through in its entirety because if you want to watch it,
Yeah.
someone has compiled all the 50 parts
Yeah, I
and
heard
put
it
it
was
on
like
YouTube.
50 parts to it and stuff like that. I was like,
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's like 3 hours.
yeah,
But people sat and watched that shit,
yeah,
and they were like, "That shit was good."
I heard, and she, I think she got a deal from CAA to represent her and
Got
stuff like
signed.
that.
She has representation now.
But the thing that we're going to talk about tonight, though, in regards to Risa Tisa, has to deal with the fact that like some of the backlash that she's received since coming forward with her story, and then of course, Breakfast Club host Charlemagne had something to say about it, and she spoke about this on I believe it was Tamron Hall show. So I'm gonna pull up the video of her and Tamron Hall so we can kind of give some context to our listeners and our viewers here. Let me do this here. Let's do this. Boom. I'm gonna share that, and then I'm gonna pull that up like that there. And let's see what Risa Tisa is talking about. I think I'm gonna have to fast forward on this a little bit.
Your goal, as stated, was to share this with other people, these warning flags, but yet now you're taking insults, attacks. People are questioning your character. They're saying you're doing it for money. And I know that's hurting.
Yeah. It is not easy to see yourself being ripped apart online. And I'm human. This is not a world I'm used to. I'm not a celebrity. I like to go to Walmart incognito. I like to go, I still, like I said, I still go to work. So it's very difficult to see people who, number one, didn't even watch the series talk about me in such a very visceral and negative way.
What has stood out of those negative comments? Because I feel like most people are saying, like our Tan fam, good for you, you're so strong. What negative comments have hurt the most, I guess?
The ones where they say, she did this for clout. This is not the way to get clout. Because you are literally opening up yourself, and again, you're being vulnerable. Those hurt. The ones that talk about the fact, and I know people have seen this, she does not look like what a VP would date. And it was a woman, it was a TikTok creator who was talking about my looks. And then there was a very famous personality that called me a big back, talking about my weight. And so it's things like that I'm like, Jesus, I can already admit I'm self-conscious, as a heavier woman. I feel like how I look should not dictate whether or not I deserve what I want to do. So that was disappointing, and it was hurtful, especially the one that was the more famous personality. I will admit this, I appreciate when I've met both men and women who have said thank you. Because for me, it's like, okay, I know I'm getting attacked, but it did help somebody. When I hear someone that said, girl, I watched all 50 parts, I genuinely am humbled that someone took 500 minutes out of their life and watched the story that I went through. And my prayer is that, again, if there is a woman or man who's like, I want to be married, I want kids, I want this, and I need to have it right now, and something's wrong, but you're afraid to investigate because you're afraid that you might be wrong. And it's like, I'm here to say, look, it costs nothing to verify, but if you don't verify, honey, it may cost you everything.
All right. So, yeah, that's what she had to say. She didn't name Charlemagne, but everyone pretty much knew who the fuck she was talking about. She didn't have to say his name, because there's video evidence of the nigga saying this shit for one, and he has a track record of getting on microphones and saying some reckless shit about people, and like people have rolled up on him. I mean, I think about like Monique rolled up on him and talked to him, kind of greasy. Birdman kind of
Leonard.
rolled up. She called him Leonard. Birdman told him like, yo, is y'all done or is y'all finished? You know what I'm saying? Everybody remembers this. Like, yo, man, he like, and what did Charlemagne do? He said, man, I'm the radio guy. It's like, nah, nigga, you out here talking greasy, bruh. And at a certain point,
find something safe to do.
there you go. And at a certain point, man, people, especially like, some folks who may have access and can get to you, and they gonna say something to you. And so I think this was one of those instances where Charlemagne might have felt safe saying something about this lady because he felt like in the power dynamic, he had the most power. He has the largest platform. He has the most listeners and everything else, right? But after her appearance on Tamron Hall's show, Charlemagne issued a apology of some sort, and we do have his alleged apology. And so we want
an apology.
Yeah, well, yeah, you and I both know that, but we gonna run through this apology and then we gonna like see what the fuck is wrong with it, because there's a lot wrong with what this nigga did with this apology. So I'm gonna go ahead and share this here too, so we can do this here, and
Okay.
let's see what this nigga is talking about. Yeah, just get to the shit.
That was disappointing, and it was hurtful, especially.
Was that
shit.
Oh.
No, that's my computer doing this book. What's funny is that it's loaded up. Like, it's all the way loaded up to the point where we need it to be, and it's just fucking buffering. Let me see if I can refresh this and see if it'll do something different.
News is real. News is real. Hilarious, Jessica Robin.
Well, I'll be a monkey's bare-assed uncle. We've been running through these issues. No, we've been running into these issues the last couple of weeks. Let me see if I can.
Because again, I'm more than just my weight.
How y'all figure that was me?
because you're the only famous one that was like,
That is not true.
that's big back behavior.
Listen, all jokes aside, I tell y'all all the time.
God damn it. I was hoping I could do something a little bit different and I wouldn't run into these issues. But damn, I might need to get
The easiest way to
another
keep your
computer.
own peace is to not disturb the peace of others. I disturbed that woman's peace, and that wasn't my intention. So I apologize if my words made her feel that way. But I do have two things to say. Number one, I never said she don't deserve love because of her size.
Right.
I didn't even know she was big. Just told the story, and I said it sounds like big back behavior, and then I started talking about big back belief. Now, if y'all want to have a conversation about reinforcing negative stereotypes of big backs, I understand. I'm open to it. But acting like I was having a conversation about Reesa Teesa's looks and size, that's not accurate. I was speaking in general terms about big back behavior and big back belief, and I actually said nobody has to be that desperate because there is a man out there for you.
Do you believe this motherfucker didn't have any clue at all what she looked like or who she was before he made that comment?
Absolutely not.
I don't think anybody who's listening to this right now believes that this nigga did not know who the fuck she was.
Because otherwise, what the fuck?
What is big bag behavior? Because me, I am a big bag. But that means I be eating shit.
I mean,
Okay.
I guess I'm a big back too, because I be eating shit too, man.
We all big. Listen, if you black and you got a big back,
Hold on.
you a big back.
Hold on.
And I've been saying this because as a black woman with big shoulders, I don't need shoulder pads, babe. I'm talking about my physique, okay? That's me. Yeah, I've been calling myself a big back. For him, he was calling her a fat beef. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, I don't think anybody who's listening to the sound of our voice right now believes this nigga had absolutely no clue who she was and what she looked like. And part of his job is to know what's happening in pop culture and in social media, because he gets on the microphone every day for about 3-4 hours and he talks about what's going on social media and in pop culture. She was percolated throughout pop culture. I hadn't watched a minute of that damn series, but I knew who she was. I knew what it was about to some degree. Like I did, like I like on a peripheral thing, because again, like I said, I didn't watch a minute of that thing, but I saw people talking about it, and I saw her, kind of showing up on my timeline. So I knew who Reesa Teesa was. I knew what the story was about, but I didn't get into it. I'm like, that don't sound like something I'm gonna just like dive into. I'm gonna let y'all have that one, right? But that didn't mean I didn't know who she was. So I don't believe this motherfucker did not know who she was or what she was about or what she looked like. Don't believe that whatsoever. So you got that going on. But I'm going to let him go on a little bit more.
And I do have one final point, just one. We all have social media. No, we all have social media.
Absolutely.
And we all use it.
Oh, my God. How about this? Let me do this here. Let me do. What's pissing me off is that it's like so much of this video loaded up and it just decided
for
not to
different
play.
reasons.
Yeah.
And Reese is getting a lot of props for being.
Okay. Hold on a second. Let me do this. Because I would hate to have to go buy a new computer and this motherfucker is less than a year old. Right? This motherfucker is less than a year old. But let me do this here. What I'm going to do is this. Hold on just a second. Let's see now.
And so vulnerable. Salute to her. But I personally feel like we have to stop bringing this stuff to social media if you don't want people to have an opinion about it.
Absolutely.
Because some of this stuff should just be reserved for our therapists. If we can't handle people having an opinion about whatever we are venting about, keep it off social media. That's my personal
That's
opinion.
a good point. When you put it out there in the world, the world's going to come back many different ways. Some people are going to be supportive. Some people are going to be joking. Some people are going to be negative. And some people are going to be big bags.
Absolutely. And she said that she was.
So now it's her fault.
You know what? What pissed me off? Envy got a lot of fucking nerve. Because when Jesus and Mero commented on his cheating scandal,
Absolutely.
because he had to go public because he got caught, he got mad and they talked about it.
Yeah. And I remember when they came on this show, he had a whole lot of like heat.
And I
Towards
wanted
them.
Mero to jump up and slap the shit out of him like I know he was about to.
Yeah, he had a lot
Mero
of
was
heat.
absolutely about to slap him. But no, it's for me, it's the hypocrisy of it all. It is the cornerstone of modern African America media. It just seems like they go out and find some of the most ignorant niggas and get them to repeat these talking points, and we're inundated with these trash messages that just throw us off the path. Because number one, he needs to just go ahead and admit that. Charlamagne is always trying to position himself as someone who cares about the Black community, he cares about Black mental health. He's always trying to be the one to say he's a provocateur, to spur action, et cetera, et cetera. But he's done nothing but run his mouth. And he even looks like a fucking predator. He makes my skin crawl. But I'm glad she was able to make those comments because the truth is, yes, she didn't even say your name. Everybody knew what she was talking about.
Everybody knew who she was talking about. Because he, again, because his platform is so large.
He was running his mouth.
People knew who she was talking about. She didn't even have to say it. And so you got that. But Envy isn't the only one who I believe should be catching some smoke as we like kind of let this play on just a little while longer.
We need to not take our foot off his neck for the housing.
Oh, well, there's that. But, yeah.
Already insecure about her weight. So then why would you come to such a big platform thinking that you know you're going to be off limits from comments like, because it's people who was actually going in on her.
Absolutely.
You didn't call her a big back.
No, I was just speaking towards big back behavior and big back belief based off the story you told. And that's why even when you reference Sheila from Why Did I Get Married?
Yes.
Fantastic movie, because even that movie reinforced those same stereotypes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And
and this is my problem right here.
If you saw that movie, Sheila was not a stereotype. What the fuck? Anyway, go ahead.
So my thing is this.
They not smart.
They not. But Just Hilarious was just on one of these damn podcasts. I want to say it was the Pivot podcast with Channing Crowder, Ryan Clark, and Fred Taylor. And she talked about, as a comedian, one of her biggest regrets was the fact that she told jokes about Chadwick Boseman not knowing that Chadwick Boseman was dying. And that was one of her biggest regrets as a comedian, right? And yet here you are talking about a young lady's appearance and now blaming that woman for coming forward with a story to tell. And pretty much, not admonishing. What's the word that I'm looking for here? Kind of giving a pass to everybody else who's coming at this woman for her appearance and having the audacity to tell her story. And then giving cover to Charlemagne and say, well, you didn't call her a big back. You just said that was big back behavior. And then you add on to that by inserting Sheila from Why Did I Get Married? As if you weren't fucking familiar. They think we stupid. This is going to be a running theme, man, for a few months now. There's a lot of people who who have large platforms, who are talking to millions of people every day, who think that their audience are a bunch of fucking fools. They think y'all stupid. Unfortunately, though, to some degree, they're kind of right. It's a lot of dumb motherfuckers who listen to this shit and eat it up every day. Eat it up every day. But the idea, like the fact that this was supposed to be the apology. This was supposed to be the apology. Well, if I disturbed your energy or your aura or whatever, that wasn't my intention. But nah, man, if somebody's saying, yo, what you said was hurtful, and if you really genuinely feel like that person has been hurt by something you did and you feel bad about it, hey man, oh shit, man, I'm sorry. I really am. Like I had, that was not my intention, and like, yo, I am sorry. There's no excuse for it. But I think we've come to a point where where it started, but like when people have wronged someone, I think there's so many folks who have a hard time just coming out and saying like, yo, I fucked up and I'm sorry. I think a lot of folks have a hard time dealing with that. Or even let's just kind of owning up to it, So, yeah. Cook, are you still there? I think we might have lost our sister Cook, man.
Wait, I'm here.
Oh, okay. You had froze up there for a second. I was like, wait, are you still? You had froze up.
Okay, sorry. I was talking. You didn't hear me?
I didn't hear nothing you were saying. If you was talking, I didn't hear shit.
No, I was saying you're right. Because I was like, niggas don't know how to be wrong. Like, look, you're wrong. Just own it. Just do better. But no, what we have in society is a bunch of people who just willing to make those excuses. And you have a lot of people who live and die by what celebrities say or quote unquote popular, people in guys have to say. No matter how ignorant or dumb they say, there are people who are going to subscribe to it.
Yeah.
And use it as a reason to not grow or think they are right. When it's like, no, you're wrong.
Yeah. He was dead ass wrong. And the fact that he couldn't just come out and say that, and the fact that he also had Just Hilarious kind of, being a part of the cheering squad, like that's another thing too, man. When someone is actually out here when they're supposed to be apologizing and then they start equivocating on that apology as their friend, if you also believe that friend is wrong, you don't go out, you don't then co-sign on the excuses that they put forward as a reason as to why they can put some exceptions on this apology.
Why is Jess giving Charlemagne cover when if who's on the other foot, would he have given her cover?
We don't know that. Now we don't know. Maybe she's still trying to endear herself as part of the trio because she's new. Who knows? But I'm just saying, like, who knows? But the fact that she came in and kind of co-signed on this half-ass apology and tried to cop pleas for him, and despite the fact that he calls himself apologizing when he was equivocating like a motherfucker, it's like, hey, this ain't no real apology. This ain't no real apology. Y'all could have kept that shit. Y'all actually could have just said nothing. As Jill Scott would have said, "Oh, maybe we could just be silent." I did that so wrong. I did that so wrong.
You did good.
I would never try to sing on this show again. I did that so wrong, man. But yeah, we had that going on. So yeah, the alleged apology by Charlamagne the God to Reese T.
Yeah, because if he had said nothing, then it probably would have been better for him. Because anybody who saw the interview or the clip, and it was widely reported and spread, yeah, he got the message.
Yeah, he did. So we got that going on. Now we got some electoral shit going on in the world, man.
Yeah.
Because, you know, this is 2024. It's motherfucking election year 2024 and shit, man. You motherfuckers about to be hitting the polls if you're responsible. You know, some of you other motherfuckers, I don't know. But, you know, if you're responsible, you're hitting the polls. Now,
I think that Steve Bannon's strategy to siphon 20% of the African American male vote may be successful.
I think it is small potatoes to think that it's just, you know, relegated to Steve Bannon.
Yeah.
Killer
Mike is in on it too.
Because, you know, one of the things.
Ice Cube is in on it.
Well, not even just Ice Cube. I mean, like, again, I'm talking governments. I'm talking, you know, China. I'm talking Russia. Like, if people believed, like, let's just keep it a buck. If people believed that the Russians had an influence campaign aimed at America to separate us or to, like, you know, amplify certain voices and amplify certain messages towards the American electorate, if people think that shit stopped in 2016, I got some magic beans on sale here, right?
It hasn't stopped.
It has not stopped. In fact, it's probably got a little bit more sophisticated afterwards because, you know, like there have been documentaries on like Cambridge Analytica and all these other things that, like, with Facebook and how they were, like, you know, taking these groups and, you know, making people believe that these groups were populated by black people, and they really weren't. They were Russian motherfuckers over in, like, troll farms and shit. And, like, you know, like, even now the American government is really thinking about and seriously considering banning TikTok because of the content that we get on TikTok, right? So, you know,
to me, it's not about the election. But go ahead.
I think it does. I think there's a lot of people who get a lot of information now. I think so many of our younger folk get a lot of information off of TikTok. And, you know, like even now, I've got a TikTok account, but I'm not really on the motherfucker. I might put clips of the show on there every now and again. And even when I'm on there, when I do put those clips up there, a lot of the times the people who are responding to me are Trump supporters, right? It'd be full of fucking Trump supporters on there. As a matter of fact, I didn't even do our listener feedback of the show, but like, and I need to get to that before we get to this next story, because let me do that now, because I straight up fucking forgot. But a lot of the people who have been responding to me have been Trump supporters, like on TikTok and on YouTube. Like the trolls are out, right? So I'm glad we this even came up with the TikTok shit, because like I said, there was some listener feedback, and let me read this. This was a comment that was left on episode 37 of the Spann Report, the Miss Spann official podcast, and this was from Reggie. He said, "Hey Spann, I've got a few questions for you. With LeBron James hit a 40,000 point mark and likely to go higher, have you considered rethinking your GOAT ranking at all?" No, I have not. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. 40,000 points is nothing to sneeze at. That man is in the club of one. So how do you feel about that? I feel it's a great accomplishment for LeBron James, but he had more points than, like, there's a lot of people who, well, not a lot, but there's like Kobe Bryant had more points than Michael Jordan. I don't think he was better than Michael Jordan. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had more points than Michael Jordan. I don't think he's better than Michael Jordan. Karl Malone has more points than Michael Jordan. I don't think he's better than Michael Jordan. So the fact that LeBron James has 40,000 points, great for him. He's not better than Michael Jordan to me. That's what it is.
It's not.
Let's see. The second question I have for you is, I saw all of the negative comments you received here on YouTube with your last episode about what appeared to be a bunch of Republicans. And I guess my question is really, how do you deal with stuff like that? Has it ever made you question if what you do is worth it, and what advice you would give to anybody who's thinking of putting their thoughts out on display for public consumption? Well, for one, I am a YouTube vet. Before I started doing podcasts, I was on YouTube heavy. The comment section on YouTube is a cesspool. I can't. It always has been, right? The other thing that the other thing about it was that none of the people who were Trump supporters, clearly, none of them, if you go back and you look at those comments on that video, that's episode number 36, I believe. If you go back and you look at those comments, none of those comments actually address anything I said in the podcast. Not a one. Every last one of those comments had something to do with just insulting me and what I said, or the idea that I would have something negative to say about Donald Trump. All right. Lastly, I don't really take heed to opinions of people who I don't give a fuck about. Right? Their opinion of me means about as much to me as the paper that I wipe my ass with after I flush it. I don't think about it anymore. So, the idea that like I would like kind of question whether or not what I do is worth it. I think that what I do is worth it every time I get on this mic. It's worth the effort, right? If I didn't think it was worth the effort, I wouldn't do it. I'd have stopped a long time ago. If all it took was for somebody who have a negative opinion about what it was that I said, I would have stopped doing this a long time ago. So no, man, like I haven't thought about whether or not what I do is worth it or not. No, I think what I do is worth it. I think there's an audience for my, for what I think and what I put out into the world. There's an audience for it. There's some people who agree with me. There's some people who don't agree with me. There are people who like me, who don't agree with me with everything. Right. So how, like, that would be crazy of me to believe that every time I put something out that people would would agree with me on everything I said. I've been doing this podcasting thing for 13 years now, bro. I'm sure I've said things that people don't agree with. I've said things that I don't agree with no more. So I can't worry about that. Putting the thoughts out for public consumption. I've been doing it for so long. It's like kind of second nature. And lastly, with it appearing to be a rematch of Donald Trump and Joe Biden for presidency, with most Americans feel like they don't really want to vote for either one of those guys, do you think that voter turnout will be down this year? I'm not sure. It's trending that way, but I'm not sure. I think a lot of it is framed by a lot of what we consume and what we believe, what we believe like the electoral results was going to be are largely framed right now, especially in this particular month. I believe a lot of it is just kind of framed by what the media is presenting to us. How much we take heed to those messages as opposed to trying to shape what the media is trying to present to us has a lot to do with it. When we're going to talk about the State of the Union tonight. I'm sorry, but like, not even 2 days ago, there was a whole bunch of Republicans out here talking about Joe Biden was a goddamn corpse. Did he look like a corpse when y'all was watching that State of the Union the other night?
I heard he was sassy.
He was giving it to him. He was giving it to him. And so, like, again, when we start talking about those media narratives and everything else, we try to, especially here on this show, what we try to do is we try to cut through that bullshit. And we try to get to the gist of what's really what's the brass tacks? What is, when we break it down to is basic fucking elements. What does this really mean? That's what we try to do on this show. I don't know if I'm always successful at it, but that's my goal, is to just try to break it down to the basics of what does this really fucking mean? So yeah, man, Trump supporters, and we're gonna go back to that, but like Trump supporters be all up in the mentions. When it comes to the social media shit, they see something negative about Donald Trump on a TikTok, on YouTube or whatever, those trolls come out. And this is why I tell folks, when you listen to shows that you do enjoy, when you're listening to whether that be a YouTube video or a podcast that you're listening to, and they ask you for a review or a thumbs up or whatever, it costs you nothing to do that, because the people that don't like that shit have no qualms about saying what they don't like about what's happening, what they don't like about what you're doing. So for those of you who do like what we're doing, go ahead and let us know. You know what I'm saying? That shit feel good too. This shit feel good. So yeah, but what we're supposed to be talking about though is Mark Robinson. Now, Mark Robinson is the Republican nominee for governor of the state of North Carolina, right? Have you seen clips of Mark Robinson at all, Cook? Like
the black dude?
Yeah, big black dude.
Uncle Ruckus.
Uncle Ruckus. Yes, you know what? I'm glad you said Uncle Ruckus, because he sounds a lot like. Nah, that's not the one. That's not the one. Is it this one?
Who are these niggas?
Nah.
We need to stay away from these niggas.
Although we do need to stay away from these niggas.
That's what you say after you meet him.
That's what you say
Clip.
after you. But this nigga is more so like.
Oh yeah. There is powerful niggery at work here.
There's powerful
Niggatry at work.
Powerful niggatry when it comes to Eugene Robinson. Oh, not Eugene. That's an older black dude on MSNBC. My bad, bro. My bad. Mark Robinson. My bad, Eugene. Eugene out here catching strays. He out here just doing a good fight, man. He catching strays being on Morning Joe. But no. So Eugene Robinson is a Republican. I want to make sure this is clear. He is the Republican nominee for governor of the state of North Carolina. Now, the reason why I want to reiterate that this motherfucker is a Republican is because y'all know those niggas that be talking about that like reparations and shit. You know, the reparations, the tangibles niggas, right? The niggas be like, yeah, man, they ain't talking about reparations, nigga. What the fuck are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? The Democrats got to earn my vote. Now, the interesting thing about that to me is that I don't know if we'll ever get reparations in my lifetime, right? I don't know if that's going to happen in my lifetime. However, for the people who reparations are vastly important to them, the Republican Party is showing that they don't give a fuck about giving you no goddamn reparations. One side is like, you know, maybe we could study the shit. You know, we can like kind of like move forward towards it at some point. The other side is like, hell no. Fuck y'all. Now, Mark Robinson is on that other side. He's a black man on that other side. And here's Mark Robinson's views on what it means to give black people reparations at all. Right? This is what he thinks it means to give black people reparations. I'm going to pull this up so y'all can watch right along with your man. Let me put it on big. Put it on big. Let's see what this nigga talking about.
There are some people that were talking about reparations in this country.
no op.
That's what that shit
He
look
is
like.
the op.
He is definitely an op. And we got
What
this.
does it
They
say?
wanted reparations. And I remember I made this particular.
This fucking buffering, bro.
I want the people to hear this bullshit.
Yeah, I want them to hear this shit. This is why I'm. Come on, man. I hate this. My internet has been like embarrassing me for the last 3 weeks.
There are some people that were talking about reparations in this country. They wanted reparations. And I remember I made this particular liberal so angry at me because I told them right to their face, nobody owes you anything for slavery. If you want to tell the truth about it, it is you who owes. It's you who owes. Why do you owe? Because somebody in those fields took stripes for you. Somebody after those fields were ended and slavery was ended, somebody had to walk through Jim Crow for you.
Nigga, what?
I hate him.
Nigga, what? This is who they put forth.
him.
This is who they put forth. Like, this is the guy in North Carolina that the Republicans thought was like, yo, that's the one right there. That's the one. It's like, it's almost like how insulting it was for Republicans to put forth Herschel Walker as a senatorial candidate in Georgia.
Ooh. Yeah.
It's as if the only black people that are Republicans that that they could put forth for electoral office are fucking buffoons.
Reprehensible.
That go out of their way to talk shit or denigrate black suffering, who have a lot of that I'm not like those other niggas over there energy. These are the candidates that they put forth to give white people cover to say the most racist shit ever.
What was the makeup of that audience?
You know what? I don't know. Because like, here's the thing. I think even when he came forth with what he said, if you could listen to like the crowd a little bit, even the crowd was kind of like, nigga, what? Even they were like, nigga, for real, nigga? Like, he talking about so the black people owe reparations?
If white people were in the audience, they definitely didn't know if they were supposed to clap or
They didn't know. They didn't know. It's almost like when Trump was just at that Black Conservative Federation shit the other a couple weeks ago, where they had like 3 niggas sitting on the stage with him, but the vast majority of that crowd was white folks. Like, it's like if you go to a Trump rally and they had like tables and shit, blacks for Trump, but the tables be like full of white folks. They might have like 7 or 8 niggas in the whole crowd of thousands. It might 7 or 8 niggas, and it's always the same 7 or 8 niggas. That'd be the truth. It's always the same 7 1
because it says black.
Blacks for Trump. The blacks, like
you know how they say it.
The blacks. Like, come on, man. We don't even talk amongst each other like that. So, yeah, man, like this is who they put forth. But this isn't the only, kind of silly ass fucking comment that he made. I got another video here where he says some other silly shit, and this has to do with whether or not women should even be allowed to vote, right? So he doesn't think.
I didn't see this one.
Oh, he doesn't think women should be allowed to vote. So let me pull this up so y'all see this here. And yeah, let's see what this nigga's talking about here.
I absolutely want to go back to the America where women couldn't vote. You know why? Because in those days we had people who fought for real social change, and they were called Republicans. And they are the reason why women can vote today.
You did see this.
Hey, man.
I did.
And
it elaborates talking about, we can go back because the Republicans did all this stuff. And I'm like, what about the senators and congressmen who are black after Reconstruction who got lynched? Like they were Republican.
They were Republican, and the ones who were here's the thing, right? And this is something that I've had to go back. Well, I haven't had to, but like I've noticed, like this is where the uptick of the Trump supporters in my mentions came from. Mm-hmm. Is when you start talking about the flip and how black people started voting.
Democrat.
Because there's this idea that black people only vote Democrat because their families have been voting Democrat for generations.
No.
That's not true. Black people vote Democrat in large part because it's politically expedient for their community. Mm-hmm. That we have never been loyal to either the Democratic or the Republican Party. We have been loyal to the party who actually like at least listen to our fucking issues. Mm-hmm. At one point, that was the Republican Party. That is no longer the case, which is why so many black people overwhelmingly vote Democratic today, despite the fact that they might not necessarily have any real allegiance to the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. Right? So when you start talking to them about the Southern strategy, when you start talking to them about, figures like Richard Nixon and Lee Atwater and Barry Goldwater, and you start talking to them about how the electoral map started changing with the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1965, the Voting Rights Act of 1964, the Fair Housing Act of 1968. And when you start talking to them about that shit, suddenly they get quiet. Because then they realize they're not talking to a nigga that don't know shit. Yeah. And then they start trying to gaslight you. Oh, that didn't how that happened. As a matter of fact, Candace Owens is one of those folks right now who says that the party's flipping was a myth. But she can't tell you how. Mm-hmm. Because again, her only job is to let you know that she's giving cover for white supremacy by just being the black face saying it. And in large part, a lot of these black Republicans, someone like a Mark Robinson and Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum and all the other ones, like there's this thing where, say for instance, if you are politically inclined and you want to get involved in some sort of way, with there being so many black people who do vote Democratic and who are strategists on the Democratic side, you might find yourself being amongst, a large group, and it'll be hard for you to stand out in advance. But if you're a grifter, that line ain't as long on the Republican side. I can get over here and I can make some money quick. I can have influence quick because it ain't that many of us over here.
Yep. And they'll pay you big bucks to do it.
Absolutely.
Well, I hope they making big bucks.
I mean, if you're gonna sell out, I would hope you would make it worth your while.
Like
if you're gonna
I'm
sell out,
sorry, but if you gonna sell out, make them pay you all your worth. Make them pay you what they pay Ann Coulter or Joe Rogan. Fuck that.
Because Ann Coulter been making cash hand over fist for a long time, and that's the thing. Like, I don't even know if Ann Coulter comes across as one of those people. I don't even know if she absolutely believes in half the shit that she says either. But she's found out that it's lucrative to say that sort of shit because there's people who are willing to pay for like having their racist ideologies kind of co-signed or legitimized by someone, right? So, Mark Robinson is who they put forth as the North Carolina Republican representative for governor. That's the best that they can come up with. Someone who said that black people owe reparations to white slave owners who got paid. Here's the rub. White people got paid after the Civil War. They got paid reparations for their losses. But black people got to get their money back? Get the fuck out of here.
It's in the fact that he can really sit his black ass up there and say that. I'm sorry, but between that nigga and Clay from Love Is Blind, niggas taking a lot of L's this week.
I don't even know who the fuck Clay is from Love Is Blind, but I heard I've been seeing his name floating around the social media streets. I don't even, because again, that's one of those. I'm like, I'm gonna let y'all have that one. I don't know nothing about that one, but but yeah, man. Mark Robinson, that's the best they came up with in North Carolina. He has a shot because again, one, North Carolina is kind of like it's a purple state, right? Like I know they have a Democratic governor now, but I believe that they have like a Republican leaning legislature. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that kind of happened in North Carolina earlier this year or last year was they had a lady who was a part of the state legislature who was a Democrat, and then she suddenly flipped to being a Republican, and then she voted for a ban on abortion in North Carolina. And mostly her reasoning for switching parties was because she said that they were like not being nice to her. You know, and so like now the Republican legislature in North Carolina, they have a super majority in the state, and like so they're trying to flip that legislature. But North Carolina is a purple state, so this silly motherfucker, this cartoonish motherfucker, actually has a chance of winning if folks don't take their asses to the polls and do what the fuck they supposed to do and vote. Because this isn't like a gerrymandering thing. A governorship is a statewide race. You can't blame gerrymandering. Get y'all asses out there and do what y'all supposed to do and vote. Right? Now, the other part, even though we just saw, because here's another thing that was kind of funny. Donald Trump spoke on Mark Robinson and said that Mark Robinson was actually Martin Luther King on steroids. So he's got Trump endorsement.
I'm just sick of Donald Trump just playing in my fucking face. And I need him to hurry up and stop breathing.
Yeah. You know, somebody need to give him an extra side of greens with with extra diabetes or something.
It's just like
yeah,
it's just disgusting.
It's silly. It's fucked up. But you got that going on. Now, another story that we got here. And this is the question that we're asking on this particular one. This is actually a combination of two different things, two different topics here. We're gonna conflate all three. We're gonna combine these last three topics between Mark Robinson, this topic, and the next one. And the reason that we're asking is are Black Trump supporters even real? And the reason why we're asking this particular question, let me pull this down.
That's a good question.
But the reason why we're asking the question is because there were some Trump supporters who were creating AI images of Trump surrounded by black folks, right? So I get the story here. This comes out of theguardian.com. It says that dozens of fake artificial intelligence generated photos showing Donald Trump with black people are being spread by his supporters, according to a new investigation. BBC Panorama reported that the images appear to be created by supporters themselves. There's no evidence tying the photos to the Trump campaign. One photo was created by the Florida-based conservative radio show host Mark Kay. I'm not. Hold up. Here's what this nigga had to say. I'm not out here taking pictures of what's really happening. I'm a storyteller, Kay told BBC. I'm not claiming it is accurate. I'm not saying, hey, look, Donald Trump was at this party with all these African-American voters. Look how much they love him.
Oh, God.
Artificial intelligence has already caused problems in the 2024 election campaign with robocalls that used AI to mimic Joe Biden's voice, urging voters not to vote in the New Hampshire primaries. The latest AI-generated media to emerge showed Trump posing on a porch with black men. Captions shared on social media falsely stated that Trump stopped his motorcade to pose. The BBC noted that some commenters online pointed out that the photos were fake, but many others were convinced that they were real. A taxi driver in Atlanta named Douglas told the outlet that he initially believed that one of the photos was real and that it bolstered his view that Trump was supportive of the black community. Wow.
So if Trump is supportive of the black community, is he going to be supportive of the black community?
I don't know. I don't know.
I hate them.
So hold on. He said, well, that's the thing about social media. It's so easy to fool people, he said. Now, it's so easy. So here's the thing. Like, I think you really do have to kind of be kind of chronically online in order to like kind of point some of this shit out. There are some people who would look at an AI image and not know that this is an AI image. They haven't like noticed that like when it comes to AI images, that like the hands ain't quite right. Motherfucker, the shadows ain't quite right. The sheen on motherfucker's skin is kind of like, it's just not there. You know what I'm saying? It's just not quite what it's supposed to be. It ain't all the way there yet. They're advancing quite quickly. But, to some of us who are online, who do the graphics, who do the online shit, like you can kind of tell, like you can look at an image and be like, oh, that ain't real. Like I saw a picture that was going around the last few days about like, it was like what do you call like four babies at the same time? What are those called? Quadruplets. I saw a picture of some black quadruplets that was supposed to be like from the 1930s and shit. And off top, I'm looking at it like, that ain't real. But I saw so many people sharing that. Like, oh, look at these cute black babies from the 1930s. And they're like, damn, they got you. You know what I'm saying? So like, they got you. But you gotta, it's unfortunately.
With AI, you gotta look at them fingers and toes.
But hold on. That was the first thing I looked at. The fingers was right. The skin tones weren't. It was, and it was like in 4K from 1936 though. That's what gave it away to me.
Snap.
Like this picture's way too fucking clear for this to be from 1936, fam. Like, come on. But and like I said, the skin tones weren't right either. But there are a lot of people who aren't necessarily versed who will see some shit like this and are like, oh shit, I'll be damned. And they would take that and they would run with it. And they would like, I saw this picture with Trump sitting on the porch with some niggas, not just 2 weeks ago, not knowing that Trump image was AI generated. It says, further in this article, it says the co-founder of Black Voters Matter, Cliff Albright, said that the AI generated photos appear to be part of a resurgence of disinformation tactics used in the 2020 election targeted towards the black community. There has been documented attempts to target disinformation to black communities again, especially young black voters. A recent New York Times and Siena College poll found that only 71% of black voters in 6 key swing states would vote for Biden, compared to 92% in 2020. Make America Great Again, Inc., the main political action community backing Trump, is set to launch an advertising campaign this week aimed at black voters in Georgia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania.
Make it stop.
So I want to see if I can, do they have the images in this article? Okay, yeah, I'm going to pull this up so you guys can see these images. And because like to me, they were like, the skin, it's always the skin tones for me and the hands. But I'm gonna pull this up so you guys can see what these images look like. Let's do this here. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing that because that's the wrong one, and I'm gonna share this one. All right, here we go. So yeah, that's the picture there. Let me see if it can I expand on this? Yeah. So this is the first fake picture that they put up. And another thing, if you're looking at any sort of like the text, a lot of times the text on hats is always off. If you're looking at my man's hat, something ain't right there. What does that hat even say? You know what I'm saying?
Nothing.
Look at Trump's fingernail. Look at Trump's fingernail here. Like, why is this shit so fucked up right there? Look at it, like, yeah.
It looks like he got 7 fingers.
Yeah. And it's almost webbed. And then this person here, they this person here on the edge here with their hand on this lady's shoulder, like their ring fingers is kind of stunted.
Yep.
Like, the hands are always always one of the dead giveaways. Now another one of the pictures is okay. So they didn't have that was just so they had just the one. There was a couple pictures in that I saw before, but yeah, they just had just the one. But yeah, man, I'm gonna need people to be a little bit more vigilant in how they consume this.
Also, I don't care what nobody said. Niggas ain't fucking with no damn Trump.
Yeah, I don't believe like I've been hearing this number quite a bit, and they've been talking about 20% of black people are going to vote for Donald Trump in 2024. I doubt that. I doubt that very seriously. I think
because you know what they're doing, they're basing it off of. They listen to Lil Wayne's and Sexy Reds, and when they say like, oh yeah, I fuck with Trump, blah 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 blah, they like, oh yeah, look, niggas fuck with us, and I'll be like, y'all, them niggas not registered to vote. They ain't gonna vote. They didn't vote.
Not only that, it's not only that whether or not they're registered to vote or not. Like, I think to some degree, like they just kind of over-index how much those people have influence over the black electorate. Like, white people have a very low opinion of what it means for black people and what black people care about. So this is why they would put someone and say that these are the people who get it, right? This is why they come to like the rappers, right?
Killer Mike.
You get Killer Mike, you get Ice Cube, you get Sexy Red. Like, yo, man, why aren't y'all talking to our motherfucking academics? Why aren't y'all talking to our intellectuals?
That's the thing. It's like, different with Sexy Red. I don't mean to lump her into that group with Ice Cube and Killer Mike because to me they are paid. They are invested. And also too it's different. First and foremost, I think that Ice Cube is invested in the sense that he's involved financially with certain men who are white supremacists.
Steve Bannon being one of them.
Yeah, heavily investing into private prisons and things like that, which is ironic because his music has been used to measure, criminality amongst black men in certain communities.
Yeah.
If you dress like Ice Cube, if you dress like NWA, they're going to assume you're into a gang or a thug, and now you have to deal with the police. So if you look at it, it's like, yeah, the white man was behind NWA. Like you can't convince me otherwise. But then you see how these niggas are profiting from it. It's just foul.
Yeah.
Killer Mike, I think he's doing it for clout. I think he's doing this because he wants to be seen. He wants to be elevated. He wants to be on the same level as like Angela Rye or Tiffany Cross or any other learned black man. The difference is that he is not learned. He is not well read. He's just pulling shit out of his ass. But he's given this platform. And they think like people, they think niggas really listen to him. I'm like, honey, niggas ain't been listening to him since he pledged allegiance to the grind. And so after that Run the Jewel shit, a lot of niggas wasn't listening to him. That was a very white audience.
I think a lot of people stopped fucking with him when he really endeared himself to Kemp down in Georgia.
Oh yeah. And he worked against Stacey Abrams.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people when they saw him like kind of cozying up and having those sort of like conversations with Governor Kemp, they were like, oh, so that's what we on? Like, I remember I had mentioned something. I didn't even tag the nigga on Twitter, and I looked up and Killer Mike was in my mentions talking about we got to talk to everybody. It's like, I don't know if we got to talk to everybody, G. I don't know I don't know if that's the move, especially when we know that these people don't have our better interests at heart. They don't give a fuck about us, and you going there makes it seem as though like, yeah, you looking out for yourself and you're getting yourself, in a more advantageous position, but I don't know how much that means for the larger community. And so yeah, we got you got that going on with like those folks, but I think to a large degree a lot of conservative folk tend to believe that the black community, and they've shown us this. They said, like, yo, even Donald Trump has come out and said, and even when he went in front of that Black Conservative Federation shit, where he talked about black people really fuck with me because I got this mugshot. And then they start coming out talking about the gym shoes and talking about how black people are really into the sneakers. Like, they don't think a whole lot of us. So anytime I see black people being supporters of this shit, it's like, yo, like, are y'all niggas even real? Do y'all even believe the shit that's coming out of y'all mouth? Or do y'all get off on the effect of being like, I'm not like those niggas over there? Mm-hmm. So you got that going on. Now, speaking of, and I think this is the last bracket on this particular issue, should we even try to enlighten black Trump supporters on their position as to why it's problematic? Or should we just leave them niggas alone?
Protect your peace.
Oh, I do this all the time. I've come to this realization, and this has been a long time coming, but I'm of the mindset now of like not explaining shit to motherfuckers who are purposefully misunderstanding you. Mm-hmm. Do not give anybody the energy of explaining to them anything when you know that they are purposefully misunderstanding you, especially on social media, because it's a waste of time. How often have you changed anybody's mind while having an argument with them on Twitter? How often have you changed anybody's mind while having an argument with them on Facebook or whatever? Oftentimes they are set in their belief. You gonna be set in your belief. You can come to a motherfucker with all the facts in the world. We live in a world of alternative facts now. People are living in two different worlds right now. Earth 1 and Earth 2. That's just really, that's just kind of how it boils down. And so one of the reasons why we're asking the question, should we even seek to enlighten some of these black Trump supporters as to why what their support of Trump is a problem, despite the fact that, like, yo, we just showed, fucking this Robinson dude, and we just, black Trump supporters aren't even real in large part, right? But they were talking about this on the Native Land podcast with Angela Rye, Tiffany Cross, and Andrew Gillum, right? And there was one stretch of this particular podcast that I kind of wanted to discuss here and see what, not only my sister Cook thought about this, but also what my listeners thought about this. So I want to bring this, I'm going to pull this up so you guys can kind of watch right along with us here. And I want to know what you guys are thinking about this particular thing or this particular idea. So let me do this here. Let me enlarge them. So there we go. And let's see. I want to say what was I had it marked. Okay, 2343 is the start point where I want
Native Land.
So let me go right to it. 2343. All right, that's about right. And hopefully this shit doesn't buffer. But let's see what they're talking about. Let's see.
This kind of stuff. And it's dangerous, and it's really why we wanted to spend just a couple of moments, not just on the presidential, but y'all, we've got to look closely at who we are electing in our states.
Or who you let get elected when you sit at home.
That's true.
That's the thing. It's like, if you don't show up, you are saying to these folks, your vote matters more than mine. Your voice matters more than mine. The things that the policies that you push and advocate for matter more than me. And then you sit around and say, now, why won't this change? This is why I don't fool with politics. It is this dangerous cycle we can never get out of if you say, well, I don't see myself represented, therefore I'm going to sit at home. Well, you don't see yourself represented, therefore Now what? But I just wanted to say that is true. I wholeheartedly agree with everything. But I also want to acknowledge the humanity of people who do stay at home, because I understand when you are under an oppressive system where you can barely pay your rent or mortgage, where you don't know how to feed your family, and for 5 election cycles, somebody has been telling you it will change.
That's so true.
Somebody's going to come through and save you. Something is going to happen where the economy will get better for you specifically. These dilapidated schools are going to start to serve your children, and you don't see it. I'm not admonishing you.
Yeah.
I understand that perspective. And we have to start looking at Black people, not as Black voters. You're not a commodity in this system. So I would invite people who feel that way, or if you have somebody in your family who feels that way, something to share with them is you don't have to believe in the system. Believe in yourself. And what does this here democracy look like if you are the architect of it? And I think that speaks to your point, Andrew, about us being lacking in imagination sometimes. It's they have captured our imagination and said this is the only construct you can live in. What if we empowered ourselves, right? I just want to say she come a long way since this morning. I love it.
No, I still feel the same way I feel this morning. I'll just for our listeners, because we're talking about that. We had talked about Angela and I disagree on Black people who support Trump, and I'm not saying we shouldn't talk to those people, but I think what I care about, it would never occur to me to say, Angela, this is what you should care about. You're saying, no, we have to care about them. Angela cares about this. Is why the comments honestly frustrate me so much sometimes, because Angela and I disagree on this. And so when I hear people saying or read people saying things about Angela's position, I'm like, if y'all only knew, Angela actually gives a shit about your humanity. Yeah. She is saying, I care about you enough. I want to engage you. I want to talk to you. I want to bring you along and show you why Trump is a problem. My position is, some people gonna have to get left behind. I'm not trying to convince the slave you still a slave. If that's what you believe, then you gotta stay there. My audience is somewhere else. Angela and I and Andrew, we were and we were saying this should be the podcast. We should have a camera here. Because Angela was saying, no, but you have to care about those people. Like you have to. And I'm saying, that is not who I'm talking to. Those aren't people I'm trying to bring along.
It's a lack of care for them. It is just that
you're going to spend your time. That's what I was focusing on.
But you speak to their humanity in a different way. Like Angela is like impassioned about it, and I'm like, yeah, if they get something, great. I hope so. But that's just not who I'm speaking to. But I think this is such an interesting discussion because there are so many people out there who feel how I feel or feel how you feel, and I think the nuanced discussion. This is why Capo News drives me nuts, because this is a more intellectual, nuanced discussion than putting Angela on with somebody who is like this guy Mark Robinson.
Now that I agree with.
All right. So you watched this earlier. What are your thoughts on this?
I am Team Tiffany. I stand her down. But I kind of understand where Angela Rye was coming from. But it's just like no. Okay, so here's the deal. We're not doing enough. We're not going far enough. We're not radical enough. Especially if we really want things to change. And Tiffany's right. We're not using our imagination. Who says that we have to get up and work Monday through Friday and make the hours 9 to 5 and work 8 hours a day? Who said that?
I think that was Henry Ford.
Well, he's dead.
Yeah, I think that was
Henry Ford. Nobody working factories no more. Like it's ridiculous. And we could have a better quality of life. There are a lot of things that we could do and adjustments we could make. But like if we did, then that would free up more resources for other investments. But we have to be realistic about what is important to the country. This is an imperialistic country. We are still conquering. And so we have to have this big military, these big capabilities, and it costs a lot of money to fund because we have to maintain all of our lands. But it's just like you try to explain that to somebody who's barely making their rent and is facing down the barrel of homelessness or starvation. You telling them to vote? Insulting.
Okay.
It's just insulting because there's a level of security that we have the basic level security and your basic needs being met is food, clothing, and shelter. And when you are not secure in that, you can reason with the person. You can't tell them like, oh, like this is gonna be good for you because it'll impact you on this level. Like, sweetie, some of them may not even be participating in society fully because they are poor. They may be on social services. They're not generating enough income to pay into the tax system where they see any real benefit from what they're voting on or stuff like that. But it's like we have to really just understand the Democratic Party should have been looking for someone since 2020, and Biden should have they should have made him honor his pledge to be a one-term president.
When did he make that pledge?
He never did, but they should have made him. And I think he said it originally,
I don't think he
like
ever
he
said that.
alluded to it.
I don't think he ever said that.
We can go back and debate that. But that was kind of the agreement, or the unspoken part of the agreement was like, we need a white man to beat Trump. We can't run a person of color. We can't run a woman because we need a white man to beat this white man. And by God, the ancestors down south, they were right when they nominated him because he was able to break through. And he did help the other Trump voters who were just like, they want a way out, but didn't understand how to get out. He was their out because he's a white man. And so that is a big thing. So here we are fighting these issues, principalities, and it's like people are starving. People are not making it. People do not have enough to make their basic needs and keep them met and maintained. That's food, clothing, and shelter. That is a dangerous place to be. And that means you are extremely vulnerable for not only exploitation, but all kinds of crime. So yeah, like you think people facing that kind of stuff, and that's their reality. You think talking to them about voting is gonna like all of a sudden they're just gonna let me just go vote, and then sit here and they do vote, and the rent is still too high. They still don't have enough health care. The schools still don't have toilet tissue or soap in the bathrooms. Let alone a decent air conditioner or heating unit to last through the winter. But no. Vote. Sweetie, we're not radical enough.
So I'm going to push back on you a little bit, sister.
Sure.
And the reason why is because I've been that person. I remember being a person who worked at Little Caesars and I was making $300 every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I had a girlfriend and a daughter. And I got fired from my job at Little Caesars because I was bringing food home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but they should not have fired.
They should not have fired me for that. But that's just
you are employee of that company.
And I'll tell you,
I have a child to feed.
I had to go downtown. And go before loss prevention, and they asked me, how much loss have you caused Little Caesars? And I said, I might have taken 3 or 4 pizzas home and like some wings or whatever. You know, they took that shit out of my last check, I couldn't get my last check until I brought home until I brought them back that raggedy ass T-shirt that they gave me.
Exactly, the uniform.
Yeah. So like, I say all that to say, even when I was on my knuckles, I never once considered not voting. Right. I never considered like voting to be the end all be all either.
But I think, and that's the point.
So,
sweetie, it's not about voting.
No.
It's about the fact. No, I hear what you're saying, and I know where you're going with this. You're saying that you've been in that predicament, and you continue to vote, and you've also progressed in your life. You're not working in Little Caesars anymore. You're not living like that anymore. You live very well now. We all do. What I'm saying is for the people who haven't had a chance to break through, for the people who may have had way more dire circumstances than yours, who may have been dealing with incarceration, recidivism, disability, like for the people who are like, listen, there are fundamental changes that need to be made in this country. And these are changes that they're talking about that you and I don't even know we need to be making. First and foremost, as a company, they should not even be able to have those kind of policies.
Like I'm
Like
sorry,
I'm sorry, okay, let's drill down to it.
I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want that to like drive us off of like kind of what we're talking about with the Black Trump supporters.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because like that, we could have that conversation all day long. Since I know we can, but like the idea though is, you know, we were talking a little bit about this earlier. You said you were Team Tiffany Cross. I'm also Team Tiffany Cross because I'm of the belief that after 9 years of Trump being a part of the political apparatus or of the public sphere, so to speak, if you don't know the threat that this motherfucker poses for you and your community at this point, and you choose to support Donald Trump at this particular juncture, you just want to be over there. That's pretty much how I feel about it. And you're wasting your time trying to convince those motherfuckers that like, yo, like there's a reason why Trump is bad for black folks. And they're like, a lot of the reasons are blatantly obvious, right? Whether there's a case that we're going to probably talk about right after this where a Trump appointed judge has deemed that a government agency that would get funding for black people who wanted to be entrepreneurs to help them get their businesses started, that particular office is unconstitutional now. Mm-hmm. This comes off of the back of the Supreme Court judgment that affirmative action in college admissions is now unconstitutional. So all of the things that we as black people have seen as like advantageous or like just trying to level the playing field, these are things being rolled back on behalf of Donald Trump and those who support Donald Trump. And like even Mark Robinson cat talking about he don't even want women to be able to vote. I want to go back to the time when women couldn't even vote.
Because we had
black people. Black people owe reparations to the white folks who enslaved them.
And so here's my thing. I know black people who vote and voted for Trump and are probably going to try to vote for him again.
And this is
why I've landed where I've landed. Are you really prepared? Okay, because this is my thing. We're all like vote. On the one hand, I understand people who are going to abstain from it. I recognize their humanity. And on the other hand, I recognize that there are people who really are brainwashed. And black people who think that we have progressed enough, that we can integrate further into white society under a white supremacist structure, and that they will be safe. Mm-hmm. Bottom line, it's no. So here's my thing. Are niggas really prepared to do what it takes if that motherfucker gets reelected? I want to know what that strategy is supposed to be. Because I got a few things that I'm kind of with, but I ain't gonna say it right now. Okay. So that's the conversation for another day. Not from the FBI. But like I don't think okay. So here's my thing. I think we've already lost the Supreme Court, and I don't know if we can really make the push big enough on the local level so far. What I'm seeing in surprising red states and red cities, there's been a huge backlash against the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
So maybe we can spur the smaller rural towns and southern states who are typically red to vote. Well, at the end of the day, they may not even vote blue. Vote for a reasonable fucking Republican.
If you're going to do it. Do they even make those anymore?
No.
I don't
And
think
I
they
think
make those.
that's another reason as well. I think that the Republican Party is far gone. It's never going to be a party of integrity or anything that even resembles decent decent human beings. They're all despicable at this point, and they're lost causes. So I'm still optimistic that Biden can pull it out. That's fine. But like I said, come 2028, they better have somebody ready to go, locked and loaded. And if not, and Trump gets reelected, and that happens, our niggas really prepared to do what it takes to survive.
I don't think they. I don't think a lot of folks are, and that kind of goes back into the comment that I made earlier about so many people just kind of whistling past the graveyard. Where we're talking about Shannon Sharp getting out of a fucking SUV for 3 or 4 days and whether or not he's gay, and like that's what motherfuckers are like really on. And you be like, yo, man, like, are you really paying attention to this other shit? I mean, I get that you could do both, right? There are people who could do both, but by and large, is that the conversation that is really being had overall? And 9 times out of 10, it's not. And so, like, no, I don't think that most people are really prepared for that. I think that some people feel as though, we lived through one Trump presidency. What's the worst that could happen between another one? It's like, yo, y'all do realize we had a whole ass global pandemic that was poorly fucking managed while we had Donald Trump as president. And there was 1 million people who lost their lives that probably didn't have to. You know what I'm saying? Because we
we also are not even dealing with the ramifications
still have
of
it.
the pandemic. It's still going.
And I will never forget, like, my grandmother died in 2020. My favorite person in the whole world. And I remember there being restrictions on how many people could go to my grandmother's service. And like, my granny deserved way more than what she got for her going away. Way more. I'll never forgive these motherfuckers for that. I lost 3 mentors in my life in the year 2020. I'll never forgive these motherfuckers for that. So, like, it was ironically enough, the State of the Union was a couple of days ago, and one of those they do the response to the State of the Union, and the lady was asking, "Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?" And I'm like, I mean, yeah, bitch, we not under fucking lockdown no more. Like, people are working again. The economy is
not better off. I don't think so.
Well, I think overall, considering where we were, we are. Considering where we were, we are. There's a lot of people. What do you mean how? Like,
how are we better off than where?
Unemployment is lower. People are back to work. People are actually able to provide for their families, although like inflation is still high. Like, people are actually able to move around. We got a hell of a lot more freedom than we had before. As far as like, before you weren't able to leave your house reasonably. There were lockdowns happening 4 years ago. Are you under lockdown right now, Cook?
Listen, I ain't have a problem with lockdown.
I mean, I didn't have necessarily. I didn't necessarily have a problem with it.
However,
I enjoyed like the time away from the job, but I also understood that like, I was making less money while I was away from the job too.
I'll say this. We were still under the effects of the Obama policies, budget policies during the pandemic. So it was way different. But by the time 2021 came around and the price of eggs was $9,
we didn't get $9 eggs here, Cook.
Oh, we had like $7 eggs. I'm sorry, but if you was in one of the places where your price went up,
I'm not saying that they didn't go up everywhere. I'm just saying like it didn't get that high here. That's all.
Well, bully for you, baby. They were trying to charge me $7 for some motherfucking eggs, and I almost lost my shit. Okay, I just wanted to go through that whole goddamn egg shelf and knock all them eggs over. Like, nobody get no eggs. Nobody get no motherfucking eggs. Or just steal it. Because goddamn, like who's gonna pay some? I'm sorry. I'm pulling it back together.
Go ahead. But you got it.
No, like right now, like the price on things, prices are extremely high. And maybe I'm saying it because where I am. But looking at rent prices and looking at the housing situation, depending on what market you're in and where you are.
Yeah.
Oh baby, you're on the brink.
Yeah.
Some cities are on the economic brink, and
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. And
And
also
too,
too,
what I
what I
don't
don't
think a
think a
lot of
lot of
people
people
understand,
understand,
if
if
you're
you're
insulated
insulated
from
from
some of
some of
this,
this,
I
I
think
think
what
what
we're
we're
missing
missing
are
are
all the
all the
ways
ways
that
that
things
things
still
still
can
can
go
go
wrong,
wrong
despite
despite
doing all
doing
the
all the
right
right
things.
things.
Yeah.
I
I'm
just
I
don't
just
think
don't think
people are
people are
radical
radical
enough.
enough.
there's that. But I am of the belief though that if you were to ask me if I'm in a better position than I was 4 years ago, I would tell you yes.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. So, yeah, we got that going on. Now, enough of that shit. I've alluded to this a couple times here already. But this had to do with the federal judge that ruled against minority business office. Yeah, this here we get this story. This comes out of the Washington Post. And it says the ruling sides with white plaintiffs in finding that the Minority Business Development Agency presumption of disadvantage is unconstitutional. It says a federal judge in Texas has ordered a 55-year-old federal agency created to help minority-owned businesses to open its
Back
doors
in Texas.
to all races. A ruling that potentially imperils dozens of government programs that also presume racial minorities are inherently disadvantaged. In a 93-page opinion rendered Tuesday, U.S. District Judge Mark T. Pittman ruled that the Minority Business Development Agency's presumption that businesses owned by blacks, Latinos, and other minorities are disadvantaged violated the Constitution's guarantee of equal protection. He permanently enjoined the agency's business centers, which have assisted minority-owned businesses in accessing capital and government contracts, from extending services based on an applicant's race.
So you
So
know
you
what
know
I
what
want
I
to
want to
see?
see?
I
I
want to
want to
see the
see the
fallout
fallout
to
to
those
those
people of
people of
color,
color
because they
because they
wasn't
wasn't
really
really
loaning
loaning
shit
shit
to
to
niggas.
niggas.
There's a
They
There's a
huge
really
huge
weren't.
entrepreneurship
entrepreneurship
gap
gap
between
between
African
African
Americans and
Americans and
other
other
people of
people of
color.
color.
But
But
it's
it's
funny
funny
how
how
they've
they've
gone
gone
after the
after the
legislations
legislations
used to
used to
benefit
benefit
black
black
people
people
and to
and to
tear them
tear them
down.
down.
But
But
what
what
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
people of
people of
color are
color are
really
really
going to
going
be
to be
understanding
understanding
is how
is how
that's
that's
going to
going to
impact
impact
them.
them.
Because I
Because I
was
was
listening
listening
to, I
to,
was
I
on
was on
TikTok, and
TikTok and someone made a
point,
point
and they
and they
said
said
white
white
supremacy
supremacy
does two
does two
things:
things.
it
It
contracts
contracts
and it
and it
expands,
expands,
meaning
meaning
it'll
it'll
expand
expand
to
to
bring in a
bring in
new
a new
group,
group,
i.e.,
i.e.,
Italians,
Italians,
Irish,
Irish,
et
et
cetera, et
cetera, et
cetera.
cetera.
But it
But
will
it will
also
also
extract,
extract,
meaning
meaning
once
once
it's
it's
done its
done its
job and
job and
got what
got what
it's
it's
needed
needed
from
from
you if
you
you are
if
a
you are a
minority,
minority,
it'll
it'll
spit you
spit
back
you back
out.
out.
So they
So
were
they were
talking
talking
about
about
here
here
in
in
Virginia,
Virginia,
there's a
there's a
school.
school.
It's a
It's a
really
really
good
good
school,
school,
but it
but it
works on
works
like a
on like a
lottery
lottery
system,
system,
and you
and you
have
have
to
to
apply to
apply
get
to get
in.
in.
Well,
Well,
they
they
noticed
noticed
that
that
Asian
Asian
acceptance
acceptance
rates
rates
have been
have been
declining,
declining,
meaning
meaning
that
that
they are
they are
not
not
getting
getting
in,
in,
but they
but
were
they were
concerned
concerned
because
because
black
black
students were
students were
still
still
getting in.
getting in.
Mm.
And
And
ultimately, what
ultimately,
they
what they
concluded
concluded
was
was
just
just
that
that
they're
they're
not
not
well
well
rounded
rounded
enough.
enough.
Like, yeah,
Like, yeah, you
you may
may
have
have
good
good
grades,
grades,
or you
or
may
you
have
may
good
have good
scores,
scores,
but that
but that
doesn't
doesn't
mean you're
mean
going to
you're
be
going
a
to be a
good
good
student
student
or
or
really
really
enrich this
enrich this
program.
program.
So
So
it's
it's
like
like
they've
they've
been
been
fighting
fighting
to
to
end
end
affirmative
affirmative
action
action
because
because
they were
they were
told
told
by
by
strategically
strategically
placed
placed
evangelical
evangelical
white
white
supremacists. You
supremacists. You
cannot
cannot
convince me
convince me
that's
that's
not
not
who's
who's
paying those
paying those
white people
white
to
people to
file
file
those
those
lawsuits.
lawsuits.
That,
That,
oh, if
oh,
you
if
just
you
get
just
rid
get
of
rid of
affirmative
affirmative
action
action
and
and
level the
level the
playing
playing
field,
field,
oh, you don't
oh,
have
you
to
don't have to
compete with
compete
those
with those
pesky
pesky
blacks.
blacks.
You get
You
in.
get in.
No,
No,
you're not
you're not
getting in.
getting in.
And it,
They're
like
going
They're
to
going
let
to let
those
those
legacies
legacies
in.
in.
the thing that's tripped out to me is that like this has kind of had like a snowball effect going all the way back
Mm-hmm.
to the I'm trying to think, was it the Holder Holder v. Which fucking case was that came across the Supreme Court, where they essentially they started gutting the Voting Rights Act, and they stopped the pre-clearance that a lot of the states needed to have in order to make any changes to their voting laws. And one of the reasons why they said that they needed to, like, why they were changing it was because they're like, well, you know, we don't need these laws anymore. Things are different now. And it was almost as though it was like, yo, are you forgetting that the reason why things are different now is because these laws are actually fucking in place? And if you do away with these laws, then shit will revert back to what it was before these laws were ever enacted. And this has had a snowball. It's a rolling snowball effect where now they've gotten rid of certain aspects of the Voting Rights Act. And then they've come back and then they said, well, you know, affirmative action. They found the Asian person to be spearhead that lawsuit and be the face and forefront of that, to where they can get rid of affirmative action. And they like when it comes to college admission. So now they're trying to pull back on whether or not, you know, your race can be taken into effect and where you come from as far as academic admission to these universities. And then they're now coming after, I think it was the Freedom Fund, where they would where there was it was a hedge fund, I believe it was, who were investing in black women being able to own businesses. And they're coming at these women saying that that's unconstitutional. They're being discriminatory towards other groups because they're targeting their efforts towards black women. Again, a largely underserved group of folks already. And they're trying to say it's unconstitutional for you to cater to them. And now they're going to the government agencies and saying that the government agency is unconstitutional because it presupposes that these people are coming from disadvantaged backgrounds, when 9 times out of 10, we already know that they have been. So again, this has been a concerted effort for a long fucking time. And they're like, since the Supreme Court has the current makeup that it has, we're going to see more and more of these sorts of cases, because now they feel like they got the numbers on the court. So that's why a lot of these judges, like a lot of people are bringing these things to the courts right now, to the federal courts right now, is because they're like, yo, we got the numbers now. They gonna side with us. So go ahead and put this lawsuit in. If this judge doesn't side with us, cool. We're gonna appeal it all the way up. We got the money behind us too to appeal this all the way up to the Supreme Court, and we got the numbers on the Supreme Court, and then we can roll all this shit back.
Yep.
And that's the play, and they've been playing it for a long time. I mean, you think about Roe versus Wade; they've been fighting that shit for 50 years.
Oh yeah, they've been on this. This has been the end game the entire time. It was never to legislate and be better people and make a better society. They still trying to take it back to getting they lick back from the Civil War.
Oh, yeah, in large part, yeah.
They still on that shit. So yeah, that's why I'm just like, sure, you know, do what you're gonna do.
Yeah,
I've seen enough. Yeah. I've seen enough. And I hate to be that way because like we are fighting big moneyed people. Like we don't have the money and the resources at the basic level to fight this shit. So my thing is just that we got to build a better mousetrap. And I have commentary on that, but I'm not going to say it because no, it's inflammatory.
Oh shit. Cook the revolutionary, man. So I'm gonna
save it.
Okay. We're gonna talk offline. That's you can rap with your boy. All right. But I got a couple of these DEI stories, man. I'm gonna just go ahead and bypass these because I might talk about this shit later. But we got a lot of let's get to this shit here. State of the Union. State of the Union was the other day, a couple days ago. You get a chance to watch it?
I did not watch it.
No.
I was not interested because at this point it's like I'm a vote. Like fuck it. It is what it is. Like come on, I don't gotta listen to this shit.
No, so I watched it only because I am sort of a political junkie. I do watch a lot of this stuff. Like, and I try to keep track of a lot of this stuff.
You a real nigga for that?
I try to, man. I try to be. But one of the things I thought was interesting about the entire thing is that, like, for months we've been hearing that Joe Biden is out of it Joe Biden is he's got dementia. The man can't put a sentence together. He can barely walk. You know, the Republicans been laying it on thick, and to a degree where there's so many people, even on the Democratic side of the ticket, who are like, man, Joe Biden just too old, man. You know, he too old. We ain't never had no president this old. And it's like, I'll go back to this, man. We knew Joe Biden was old when we elected his ass the first time. And I know you alluded to, like, you know, maybe a backroom deal being made and stuff like that about him only serving one term. I'm not familiar with any of that shit. I was just like, yo, like we knew that, like, yo, they put Joe Biden forth because, yo, they thought that, like, he would probably be the only person who was capable of beating Donald Trump, right? That seems to be true even now. Right? Donald Trump is still the motherfucking Republican nominee for president of the United States. And so, like, although there was so many people saying, well, maybe he should drop out now and give, you know, Gretchen Whitmer, or maybe he should drop out now and give Gavin Newsom a shot, or maybe, like, I don't know where those calls start coming from people. I don't know if they were, I don't know where those calls were genuinely coming from. But I do know that, like, I never heard Joe Biden say, yo, I'm only going to run. I'm going to do 4 years and I'm going to get the fuck up out of here. I never heard him say anything like that. And so going back to the idea that people thought that, like, yo, we need this old white man to beat this other old white man. I think that same adage holds true even now, right? Considering. Now, the other part about this is this. Going back in the 2020 campaign, yo, if people didn't want Joe Biden as their nominee for president of the United States, man, they had opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't as though there wasn't like 16 motherfuckers up on that stage vying for that opportunity to be goddamn the Democratic nominee. You had Kamala, you had what's her name? Tulsi Gabbard, who's now being considered as a vice presidential candidate for Donald Trump. How ironic is that? You had Marianne Williamson, you had Bernie Sanders, you had fucking Cory Booker, you had Mike Bloomberg, you had Elizabeth Warren. You had, like, I mean, they had a whole bunch of people. It was a whole roster of motherfuckers. So, like, that was your opportunity to, like, yo, man, like, I'm gonna put my voice in.
I wanted an Elizabeth Warren Julio Castro ticket.
I forgot Julio Castro was on that thing too. I didn't even get a chance.
I did.
So, like, when it came to the Michigan primary, by the time I wanted a Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket. That's who I was prepared to vote for at the time, and she dropped out of the race before I even had an opportunity to go vote. So, all right, cool.
But she dated Montel Williams. I'm still gonna side eye about that.
I mean, you know, sometimes players fuck up. You know what I'm saying?
Listen.
Sometimes players fuck up. But I say all that to say that I think Republicans did themselves a disservice by presenting Joe Biden as this decrepit old man who couldn't get shit done and who was on his last legs, who couldn't string a word together. All this shit. They've been spreading this for the longest. And now, after this, Joe Biden is, well, you know, he's too cantankerous and he was too ornery and he was way too loud, and where they jacked him up. They got him on some coke or something. Like, suddenly they saying Joe Biden is on some what's that? Performance enhancing drugs when it comes to his performance in the State of the Union. So
he's on that Schwarzenegger.
He was on something apparently, according to the Republicans. So check this out. The Lincoln Project. I'm not a fan of the Lincoln Project because, again, those people are still
they're Republicans.
They're Republicans, bro. And I'm not. I have not lost sight of. Yo, the minute, if at any point shit turns back to normal, they gonna go back to the shit they was on. However, they did do a pretty good chop up of the State of the Union and what, you know, and how Joe Biden was performing during the State of the Union. So I do want to pull this up so, you know, so folks can kind of see what the Lincoln Project did with the State of the Union. So let me show y'all this here. And let me pull this up, make that big. All right. Let's see what they're talking about here.
Look over here.
I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while. Good evening. If I were smart, I'd go home now. Bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. By repealing Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen. We stopped you 50 times before it will stop you again. Some of you strongly voted against it, or they're cheering on that money coming in. I like it. I'm with you. I'm with you. If any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. I will. That's the proposal. Oh, no. You guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is, yeah. You're saying low. Look at the facts. I know you know how to read. Let me close with this. Yeah. I know you don't want to hear any more, Lindsay, but I got to say a few more things.
All right. Now, so check this out, Cook. We are no longer live, apparently, because this shit said it ends at 2 hours. But we're going to keep going because the show ain't over. For whatever reason, this shit said it ends at 2 hours. I didn't even realize we were on this long. But I think that he performed well, considering what the expectations for him was going into that State of the Union. And I think, going forward for his campaign, because again, the man is campaigning for president of the United States. He didn't say he was not going to be running again. I think because Republicans set the bar so low for him to say, well, this man is like, decrepit and he's suffering from dementia and all these other things that folks have been saying about him. And he even addressed his age in the speech quite a bit too, where he talked about when he first became a senator, he was 29 years old and he was considered too young. And he's like, now people are telling me I'm too old. I've seen both ends of this. I think that I thought it was a good speech. I thought that he gave as much as he got. And I don't necessarily have to be excited to vote for him, but damn it, I'm going to be voting for him. I mean, the stakes is too high if you ask me. So
The stakes are high. But I tell you what, it don't matter who wins. I ain't paying them student loans back.
There you go. Cook. If we get the right motherfucker in there, even though, you know what, I hear you, because you like fuck them student loans regardless. Like Cook, hey, y'all gonna pay me? You gonna pay me that student loans back? Cook like.
As the homie in this would say, they can take it in blood.
Yeah. But I did believe that I thought it was a good performance for him, considering what the expectations of him going into that was. So you got that going on.
That was good. I'm glad, it's like he took his vitamins.
He did something. They said he was jacked up. On Fox News, they were like, yo, jacked up Joe. They had all kind of shit to say about him. But before they were saying the man couldn't string a sentence together. Now they're like, yo, he was on some shit. So you got that going on.
He liked the fight. He came there just to shout out.
I think that's what it was. Joe be ready. He about to fisticuffs.
He said he was going to box Donald Trump.
He did. He was like, man, I'll challenge you to a push-up. I'll challenge you to a push-up contest right now.
Come on, let's go. You and me.
Can you imagine these two old motherfuckers on the floor trying to do some push-ups though? Like,
and I bet Biden would still win.
He probably would.
Trump would shit himself.
All right.
They say he walks around with a camper.
I don't know.
They say he walks around with a camper because he lost control of his bowels from all the cocaine partying he's done in years.
Well. I heard that the Trump White House was like awash in like Adderall and like speed and shit. Dealing with him while he was president. So
and that little bag of cocaine. It was probably stuck in the back of a desk from the Bush administration.
I mean, it might have been.
Or
I mean,
it might have been one of the people in his office.
I
Might have
mean,
been his son.
it might have been allegedly, Donald Trump Jr. shit, and they just, just kind of popped up. That motherfucker always looked coked up, allegedly.
He was some butthead.
Yeah. Our last story before we get on about of here. This is a good one because I want to get out of here on a good note. There was a family, a Chinese American family in California, who is giving $5 million to the black community because there was a black family who rented a home to them in a time where they could get no accommodations whatsoever. So I pulled this story up. This comes from NBC News. It says that brothers Lloyd Dong Jr. left and his brother Ron stand outside their childhood home on C Street in Coronado, San Diego State University. In 1939, the Dongs, a Chinese American family in Coronado, California, found themselves unable to rent a house amid racially restrictive housing laws that favored white buyers and renters. Emma and Gus Thompson, a black entrepreneurial couple in town, allowed the family to rent and eventually buy their Coronado property when nobody else would. Now, thanks to the Thompsons for helping them get a toehold in American society, the Dongs are donating $5 million to black college students using proceeds from the sale of the house. It may enable some kids to go and flourish in college that might not have been able to do otherwise. Janice Dong, 86, said about the plan to sell the family home they later purchased, as well as an adjacent property. The Dong family will also work to have San Diego State University's Black Resource Center named after Emma and Gus, who were born into slavery in Kentucky. Lloyd Dong, 81, said that the Thompsons gave their family a start with the land, and it's time for them to do the same for others. Without them, we would not have the education and everything else. So, yeah, man, shout out to this family, the Dong family, $5 million contribution to the black community, a way for them to give back to the community that, kind of gave them a welcoming when other folks here in these United States of America who, always talk about that American dream was denying it to this family. And so it was a black family that stepped up and allowed for them to enjoy that and graduate to that American dream, so to speak. And now they are in a position to donate $5 million to the community to help them become the family that they became here in the United States. So I felt like it was a good thing to kind of end on a good note.
That was a really good story.
Yeah.
Oh, am I smacking in your ear?
No, I didn't hear nothing.
Okay.
I didn't hear nothing. But yo, it was good talking to you here, sis, on episode 38. Let the folks know how they can get in touch with you.
Okay, so I'm still at underscore Simmons on IG, and I'm not on Twitter. I'm getting the thread together.
Get the thread together, because we on the thread. We on that thread train now. Fuck Twitter.
And so I'm going to start creating the account for the show for on Threads. So that's where I'm going to be. That's where I'm looking at so far landing. So when that's up, you guys will know. New episodes coming soon. Your girls getting their shit together. I'm sensitive about my shit.
We all are. We all are. Real
I be
talk.
caring.
I think we all do. Well, I take that back. Some of the motherfuckers, they don't care what they put out, but you got that going on. They don't care what they put out.
I tell you, because some of the motherfuckers like y'all dumb.
Yeah. But was that all? Was that all of it, Cook?
Yeah.
Okay.
So hold the people.
Let me remind you guys how to get in touch with us over here at the Mrs. Spann Official Podcast and let your voice be heard. Go ahead and hit up that hotline, area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages. Those messages will get played here and replied to here live on the show. You can also email us here at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead, leave us those emails. Those emails will get read here and replied to here live on the show. Follow me on Threads and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So go ahead and follow me there. Chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and or Spotify. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get read here live on the show. We really appreciate everybody who goes about the business of doing that. Doesn't cost you a dime, just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network in its entirety. Also, check us out on YouTube. Leave comments on our YouTube videos, man. Subscribe to us on YouTube. If you listen to podcasts, if you watch podcasts, you can do that shit on YouTube too. So go ahead and chop it up with us that way. Leave us those comments there. And also go to our website at www.thespannreport.com. You can go there. You can donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like. And of course, we really do appreciate every dime over here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network in its entirety. And also, copy yourself some merch, man. You know you like this shirt, man. This shirt kind of fly. I ain't gonna front. If it wasn't my name, I would rock it. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't me, I would rock it. But no, real talk. For those of you who will support us in that way, we really do appreciate it, man. Real talk. But we are about to get on up out of here. We will talk to you guys again soon. But until next time, fam, peace.